Now, have you ever wondered what happens to your excreted substances after flushing them? Well, I didn't. It was way too gross for me to even think about it. Yet, I learned that this is definitely worth considering. These human manures contribute significantly to water pollution as improper wastewater management leads to problems like algae bloom, eutrophication, and most directly, the spread of waterborne disease. The leakage of pathogens into a water body causes diarrheal diseases like cholera, Shigella, typhoid, hepatitis A and E, and poliomyelitis, killing 2.2 million people every year. Just for comparison, about 500,000 people have died in the Russo-Ukraine war so far. Furthermore, while this might sound like a problem in a developing country, the same problem exists in developed countries like the USA, where it was reported in 2019 that 823,000 cases of cryptosporidiosis, a type of waterborne disease spread with the water that's contaminated by human feces, occur annually. No single country is free from the danger of sewage contamination, as small mismanagement can lead to fatal results.
Currently, the most common sewage systems include septic system and wastewater treatment plants. The septic system, a method commonly used in rural or suburban areas, stores feces in a tank that is buried underground. Solids settle to the bottom of the tank and the lighter wastewater and gas are released into the soil for natural decomposition. Despite its common use, septic systems often leach bacteria, viruses, nitrates, phosphates, chlorides, and other cancer-causing VOCs as people dump toxic chemicals down the toilet, causing further environmental problems. Because the waste goes under minimal anaerobic decomposition, the chances of pathogen leak are high, suggesting the need for an alternative method. Another common method used in urban areas, wastewater treatment plants, also does not resolve the potential risk of water pollution. While the exact methods vary, the general idea of wastewater treatment plants is to use chemicals to remove potential pollutants from the wastewater. One specific method of activated sludge treatment attempts to recycle the sunk soil waste for agriculture use. Nevertheless, sewage sludge contains about 10 billion microorganisms per gram, which includes human pathogens infecting the soil. Moreover, the chemicals used, chlorine for instance, is a potential pollutant for the aquatic environment and correlates with problems like cancer or infant defects. The two examples show that no wastewater treatment is perfect at this stage. Yet, these days, to address the existing environmental problem with sewage systems, new solutions are being created. In fact, the solution is quite simple. Don't let your shit become a waste, but use it as a resource. Therefore, people should use more environmentally friendly toilet systems that utilize waste as a resource instead of the current sewage system.
One example of this would be incinerating toilets, which is a less comfortable but more environmentally sustainable toilet. Out of many types of eco-friendly toilets, an incinerating toilet has a combustion container where the solid waste and urine are collected, burned, and turned into a cup of ashes and water vapor. To begin, incinerating toilets are easy to install. Compared to the flush toilet, which requires a toilet bank and external sewer pipes, an incinerating toilet requires no external tanks or water use but just a ventilation pipe. This means when installing a new toilet, the flush toilet requires people to find a place with an existing sewer pipes. However, incinerating toilets can be installed anywhere you want, maybe even in your bedrooms. Also, incinerating toilets are easy to maintain because the process is odorless and easy to clean up. When the wastes are collected in the combustion chamber after 30 to 60 uses, which would take about a week, and get burned, which only takes 4.5 hours for the whole cleaning process, the ventilation system makes sure the smell doesn't leak out and the whole waste turned into a little teacup amount of ashes that could be just sprinkled in nature or added to household waste. No other cleaning process is required here. On the other hand, flushing toilets cleaning process starts after flushing. They take hours and hours to send wastewater to the wastewater treatment plant and go through filtration, biological processes, and more on. Here, wouldn't incinerating toilets cleaning process that requires less than 5 hours be more efficient? Still, many people are hesitant to use incinerating toilets because of their cost to install and operate. Compared to flush toilets with an average installation cost of about $374, incinerating toilets have that of about $4,000 per toilet. Also, considering that a person flushes the toilet 6 times a day, the average annual operation cost per adult of the flush toilet was about $109, while that of the incinerating toilet was about $233. This difference in cost definitely would make people hesitate to determine whether to replace already existing, well-functioning, cheap flush toilets. However, considering that incinerating toilets do not have a risk of contaminating water with pathogens and diseases that are killing thousands and thousands of people, wouldn't it be worth investing a little bit more money for the environment, your fellow community, and your future? By investing a little more now and enduring a bit more discomfort now, you can save thousands of people and maybe even yourself in the future.
Another great alternative to manage human waste other than incinerating toilet is creating humanure through composting. Humanure, a combination of human plus manure, is composted human excrement. We all can assume that human feces is dangerous when it's leaked into the water body. In fact, it's a major source of water pollution, estimated to cause 1/3 of gastroenteritis cases and 2/3 of ear infections. Even at this moment, either old or poorly managed wastewater treatment dumps hundreds of millions of liters of raw effluents to the nearest water body, posing serious health risks. However, when human feces is composted properly, not only it becomes safe, but also becomes valuable. Specifically, through composting, we can turn waste products like our urine, poo, food scrap, and organic waste into pathogen-safe, nutrient-rich compost through the process of aerobic microbial digestion. The method is also quite simple. You put your compost material into a pile and wait over 6 months with adequate moisture and temperature for the microbes to digest the materials. So instead of using conventional wastewater treatment plants that go through complex steps of treatment and use harmful chemicals, we can let the microbes process the manure just by giving them an extra little time. In fact, the main benefit of composting comes from its products. Compost, according to EPA, adds organic material to the soil, improves fertility and productivity, discourages diseases and insects from coming, and acts as a filter for toxic chemicals and heavy metals. Furthermore, it destroys pathogens and thus removes the issue of human manure causing any waterborne diseases. Research in the US showed that 99% of the compost in 94 different commercial companies are salmonella-free, showing that very low pathogen contents overall, making composting a viable option. Yet this method of composting is not widely adopted because many people believe that it is disgusting. It is somewhat understandable, as composting human manure means that we may not use our traditional toilet, which simply cleans up everything once you flush the toilet. Instead, the word composting feels like you'd have to live with your smelly poo in your house. This is a misconception for 2 reasons. First, composting is an aerobic process which is less smelly and almost odorless if you balance the content inside the compost and cover it up with the appropriate organic materials like sawdust. If done properly, then the only odor you'll face will be from your fresh shit, the smell you inevitably face even in modern toilets. Second, while composting could be done at individual levels, such as using composting toilets, which may require you to live with your poo for a while, it can also be done at governmental levels, which won't change your lifestyle as much. Composting can be applied with dewatered wastewater solid at the sewage treatment system. Instead of injecting chemicals trying to remove excess phosphate or nitrogen, composted waste actually needs those nutrients as it is recycled as a fertilizer for plant growth. Like this, composting can be applied on various levels to create a product that is valuable from a shitty start, making the adoption of composting necessary.
To utilize human manure on an individual level, a composting toilet, an eco-friendly toilet with efficient use of resources, should be more used by the public. In composting toilets, the wastes are separated into urine and feces. Then, it is collected in different containers to decompose and transfer into fertile manure. One major benefit of composting toilets is that it saves enormous amounts of water because it does not use any flushing system. In fact, facilities that installed the composting toilets reported that their water usage decreased by 96%. Unlike the conventional sewage system, not only do composting toilets minimize water usage, but they also do not require any water purifying system. Poops are known to make great fertilizers, and urine contains a rich amount of potassium. The sewage system washes off those resources with water and attempts to purify them before releasing them back to the nature. Most of the nutrients are lost during the process, leaving high cost and wasted work time behind. On the other hand, the composting toilets decompose the collected shit through aerobic decomposers, changing the waste into healthy soil. By returning the nutrients that humans consume back to the nature, we can maintain the sustainable nutrient cycle that we have long interrupted. In short, taking one step further from simply not harming the nature, the composting toilets allow us to restore a healthy and sustainable nutrient cycle for the present and future generations. Still, some critics may argue that promoting composting toilets will be an unworthy attempt because of the inevitable avoidance of the users due to discomforting experience when using, such as odor, deep black holes, and not flushing the toilet down. However, this claim fails to recognize the improvements and adaptations made to the composting toilets in order to secure a comfortable user experience. For example, the odor of the composting toilets is managed by the fan that circulates the air into the toilet when it is opened. Therefore, the odor does not remain in the bathroom. Likewise, the deep black holes of the toilets that the users fear can be covered, basically transforming the design of the composting toilets into conventional-looking toilets. Additionally, the argument that the inability to flush the toilet is disturbing to the users fails to recognize the diverse cultures that exist in the world. It is true that in the case of the United States, the composting toilets were unsuccessful due to cultural hostility. However, in places like Europe, where people are used to brushing off the remainder of the waste due to the small amount of water used when flushing, like the existence of the toilet brush tells us, composting toilets will be able to result in great success with high public usage. Thus, the key is to find suitable circumstances for the composting toilet, which will bring substantial environmental benefits. In conclusion, people should use composting toilets that transfer human waste into valuable manure without exploiting any other natural resources, securing the healthy nutrient cycle of nature.
Now that you're more familiar about the alternative method, you might come to a realization that technology exists for a sustainable toilet system. For example, Samsung had developed a mass-producible prototype for a reinvented toilet system that does not require pipe. With these given technologies, the feasibility depends on the application of these. Therefore, we propose to adopt these environmentally sustainable toilets according to the different circumstances so that it could be implemented most effectively. For example, replacing conventional toilets with incinerator toilets would be highly applicable in urban areas where electricity is widely available and space is limited. Since the incinerator toilets do not require connection to a pipe or a tank and leave a small volume of ash that can be simply thrown away, they are suitable for crowded urban areas where acquiring additional space is challenging. On the other end, composting toilets are suitable in rural areas where human manure could be first-handedly used. In rural areas with more free spaces, the tanks for the composting toilet could be more easily installed. Also, in rural areas where farming is still prevalent, composting toilets could be used to create their own compost. Yet, the biggest barrier to switching to the more environmentally friendly type of toilet is due to the lack of awareness and stigma around them. With these toilets existing in South Korea, it is especially easier for us to assume that the environmentally friendly ones are similar to these.
Therefore, the first step in implementing this method is to familiarize people with the toilet and debunk the misconception. We asked the Korean government to switch conventional public toilets to incinerators or composting toilets to increase familiarity among the new type of toilets. Gradually, the current sewage system could be replaced with toilets that don't require a pipe system and ultimately recycle shit as a resource. For KSJ students, we are not going to ask you to burn or collect your shit. We fully understand that it's impossible for us at this moment to act those out. However, what you can do is familiarize our community with the alternative. So right now, sorry coach, but everyone, please take out your phone. Scan this QR code and share it with 5 people. Spread the wisdom. Share the reels. And I hope you didn't get LLBs for this. Thank you.